Where do I start? Rangers 1, Liverpool 7. After in the Champions League, after a decent first half, an encouraging first half, we then capitulate, embarrass, shit ourselves effectively, and end getting pumped 7-1 by Liverpool. Look, JD, thoughts? There's no point in trying to do any intros or
no,
just thoughts.
I'm in shock. I'm in shock because at halftime we said we could get something for this game, but yet again, the players were terrible. So there's all the players could. I don't care about any of them now. But the negativity creeps in, and it starts with Barisic at left back. Just think Gomez is shitting himself. Just keep thinking that boy at his head, but we don't. He's not allowed to because he's told not to do it. You can see it. They're drilled not to do it. The negativity. We have the ball 10, 20, 30 yards for the Liverpool goal or into their half, and the ball ends up back at McGregor. He can't clear his lines as usual, and they score 2, 3, 4 goals. Whoever knows. Rangers didn't open up at all after we scored the goal. So there's fucking paper tacticians out there that think they're saying, you know, I've seen it all over Twitter now. We see that's what happens. That's what happens when we don't just defend. We've opened up, it's going to, you know, of course, we opened up for 10 minutes and scored a goal, then we went into our shells, and then Liverpool pumped us. So, Gio's out. We called Gio's. We've been calling this for a while. That's unsurvivable. It's unforgivable. Cannot survive it. I don't care who the opposition is. Prime Barcelona came to Ibrox and we got a draw with them under the great man. So, listen, no one survives that. I don't care what the score is. I don't care the story behind it. He does not survive that. And Ryan Kent, and I'm going to say it, John Lundstrom, they're not good enough. That's not good enough this season. And tonight was pathetic. And don't really care about the rest of what they've got to say.
Does that include me and Stu?
I am with him.
Stu, to have that encouragement, to have that, I'm going to look excitement at half time. Playing okay, playing well, getting a goal, looking, you know, quite threatening going forward at times. Explain to me how a team then concedes 6 goals in the second half. How does that happen?
Well, you start by appointing McGregor and Bronckhorst, and that keeps you halfway there. It's square pegs in round holes that we get told about all the time. This is what everyone said before Gio signed. He has a style of player, which is fine. But you have to sign players to play that style. You can't, if we have the system that we have, which is obviously a director of football that brings in players, whether Gio seems to like it or not, you have to adapt to that. You can't play your own way when you don't have the players to do it, because what happens is every single time, the BBC have just put up stats saying they think this is only the second time Rangers have ever conceded 7 goals. The other was in 1957 League Cup final. It doesn't, like Jody said, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You can't. It's not even that you conceded 7. It's not like it was a 90-minute game where we conceded 7 goals. We conceded 6 in one half at home. It's fucking embarrassing. It really is, and it was all our own fault because, like JD said, we're doing stuff that you can see that they're told to do, not dinking the balls forward. Whenever there's a chance to put pressure on Liverpool out of position, we turn back, we pass backwards. Steve McManaman was saying it in the commentary. If he can bloody see it as well, like we're 30 yards from goal and we're going back to McGregor. It's back, and then it's a long ball forward, and then Liverpool get the ball and they score. It's just shambles from start to finish.
Yeah. Look, for people, there'll be a lot of people watching this who don't usually watch the show. Firstly, Big Dave, a new member, thank you very much for joining. Big Dave, usually what we do is we go through the game from start to finish. We look at all the different incidents. We discuss a few individual performances.
There's too many.
And then we cap it off at the end. We're going to go through bits of the game. We're going to go through some individual players, but these have both spoke about it, JD. It's the majority of the comments. I don't know if this is just, I'm trying to play slight devil's advocate here, although I agree with the both of these. This might be look, we've just been embarrassed in Europe in front of the world. I don't know if this is a slight overreaction, but Gio can't survive that, can he? There's no way any Rangers manager survives that.
No, I don't think many managers should survive a 7-1, conceding 7 goals. So he can't survive it. And the club have got to bite the bullet. It's not worked. We've allowed this guy to bring in all these guys. But Seri Bowley, or whatever his name is, the Stu lookalike, came up for Man City. What are these boys doing? Like, tactically, we done the old amateur thing, the old boys club thing. Right, we better make some subs, right? Left wing, right wing, centre forward, off you come. Left wing, right wing, centre, on you go. So there's no tactical change, nothing. No change there at all. That's pathetic. I can't believe we've went from free-flowing, attacking football, Barisic, Tav getting assist after assist, a different level granted, to now playing this negative, boring, horrible to watch. I don't know why I hark back. Even the Hearts game, the game, I was still saying in the group chat, this is still horrible to watch. So I don't understand what these guys have been brought in to do. They've not ticked the box. Shitbag board, an absolute shitbag board. We've not got a board that know much. So I reckon that wee guy, I'll stop there because Ross Wilson has probably got far too much power in here because he's living off he'll tell everybody about money for Southampton. So he's the main man in there, by the way, and he's calling the shots. He needs to go as well, and then Gio needs to go, and it's a full rebuild. We want the clubs. I don't know what's happening. The club, it's fucked. We went from somebody said it there. We went from a European final to what 17-15-1 in a group stage, 4 games or something like that. It's pathetic.
This isn't what it's about, Stu. But this is going to be the question aimed at people. Who do we get in?
Doesn't it matter?
I don't think right now, Stu, that matters. I don't think that matters.
It's not our job. It's the wrong argument when you say that. When you just say, "Oh, well, you sack a guy," it's not a reason you keep someone. Like, do you know what I mean? If you're unhappy in a relationship, you don't go, "Yeah, but who's going to be your next girlfriend?" You don't think like that. You get out of the bad relationship. This is what we've got to do. This is not working. We get out, and then the board's decision, the board's responsibility is to go and find the next manager that plays the way Rangers want to play. Whether that's Knutson, who was mentioned before, who's been linked to a lot of Premier League jobs. That's the only name I can think of right now. But there are guys out there that you can get. I know Michael Beale gets mentioned a lot, probably out of our reach right now. Yeah, probably out of our reach. But that is the board's job. The board's job isn't to just hang on, just in case, until they find anything. Well, but by then, what if you have a couple of good results? Then you can't wait for that moment. You've got to realise that it's not worked with GVB. It's obviously, I don't know what he said to them in the interview because he doesn't play attacking football that we said was our philosophy. So I'm not really sure with that. But yeah, you've just got to bite the bullet, take it. Even if you put a caretaker in charge until the right guy does become available, you do something. You have to do something.
You have to do something, JD. It's just astounding that you can go from that first half, and maybe if we watch the first half back, it might not have been as positive as what I think in my head it was, because games are always different when you look back on them. But to go for that first half, maybe Liverpool played within themselves. I don't know. Maybe we overplayed what we can usually do. But how can you go for that first half? And Gio obviously got something right in the first half to go to then that second half. My brain can't rack how you can go from playing well to just having absolutely nothing. And by the way, it was nothing from the second half kicked off. Not 5-10 minutes in. As soon as the second half kicked off, we had nothing.
Yeah, they came out the blocks. I thought, start the second. Listen, we were in here. CGM said that in the comments. Like, you want to say that at half time, JD? Of course, we weren't saying that at half time because we were positive. We all thought we could get something out of this game at half time. That's why we're all here in shock that we've just conceded 6 in the second half. A 6-minute hat trick by Salah. Listen, he's a great player. McGregor could be saving 2, if not most of them.
Yeah.
So it's more the performance in the second half. The score is like the cherry on top of it. It's going back to that performance levels by the players. I'm actually in shock that we've just witnessed that 45 minute. That was ending for Liverpool there, by the way. That could have been the end up, by the way.
Yeah, it was the embarrassing part, Stu, where Elliott scores the 7th. It gets ruled offside, and you've got 2 players cuddling in the middle of the park, just laughing and joking, hoping that it's a goal.
They were taking the absolute piss out of us at that point. That was just a joke. Like, I don't know. You just had to hope something went wrong and it wasn't. But it was. a 5-minute hat trick. It was every goal just seemed to go in one after another. It seemed like every time we kicked off, they showed a few replays, and all of a sudden they were scoring another goal. It was at some point you batten down the hatches. Do you know what I mean? You go into you stop taking damage at a point in a game. Every team knows how to do it, but we don't. We play this team every single.
You would think, Stu, just on that point, you would think that battening down the hatches would be something that Gio knows how to do.
Yeah, this is the
He's
problem.
so
He's
negative.
a defensive manager who can't set up a defensive team. We were more defensively solid under an attacking manager, and because that's a part of the defense, right? You defend from the front. You can't just lump balls forward and against Liverpool. You can't do that. They'll just punish you, and that's what they did do. And obviously it didn't help. Goldson was a massive factor because Goldson was having a decent game, and obviously Goldson and Davis together were having a really good game. But that's not an excuse to concede 6 goals in the second half. Like throwing King on at 18 to play out of position because he's not a right-sided centre back. He plays left-sided centre back. Throwing him out of position was just throwing him to the wolves. It's like, yeah, it's sink or swim at times, but I don't think that's the game you throw the 18-year-old over there to get walked all over by like Liverpool, and then when they bring Salah on and that. Yeah, maybe we don't have many other options. I don't know, but King is better than Sands. I just saw someone say King is better than Sands, but you're bringing King onto that right side. We talked about before how that sort of right-footed centre back, that left-footed centre back, they really sort of complement each other in defence. Once you take that out, it's just, I don't know. It was.
I'm not sure it would be in a different score, Stu, whether Goldson had been off.
Maybe not, and we would have sat here moaning about Sands or exactly the same. You're right, I know, but I just felt like he threw King to the wolves a little bit.
I think he did, but if you're in the position, then you need to stand up and be counted, and it's hard for the young boys. He's not even grew into his body yet as an 18, 19-year-old boy. He's still got 2 or 3 years of growing to go. That being said, he's not immune to a bit of criticism, and I don't think he played well. I think he got caught up in the moment and was jumping in and diving into things. Different kettle of fish, like what he's playing against, but no player in that team is immune to criticism regardless of their age, and it's difficult for Leon. It's one that he's going to really need to take in the chin and come back from, and that will test whether he's going to be a Rangers player or not, I think.
Massive learning curve for Leon.
Tav did expose him far too often. Walter's right.
Yeah.
Tav's another one to be called out. Tav and Lundstrom, mainstays in the team last season. Both of them have been pathetic this season.
Somebody did put, in fact, I've got 2 points I want to make before we dive into the game, unfortunately. This is one of the biggest criticisms I have, not the fact that we were tactically inept, not the fact that the players shat it, not the fact that Gio didn't know what to do. It was the fact that he left it until the 75 minutes to make changes.
Wow.
And Stu, something that we spoke about before we came on, like for like changes, no changes to formation, no changes to tactics, and he brought on 3, possibly 2 inferior players.
That is so bizarre. To wait to 4-1 for a start, he's had to make the 2 like for like early on, right? He's got an injury to Goldson. He has to bring the centre back on. He's got an injury to Jack. I wasn't too sure about it being Davis after his last performance against Liverpool. The game passed him by, but could sort of understand. To go 3-1 down and still not make a change. When he said before, he said himself, we have to play different. We need points in this game, so you will see a different range. And we did in the first half. The second half, you go 4-1 down before you think about making a change. And then when you make a change, instead of doing this whole thing that you've been talking about, Morelos and Cholak, they can play together. This is the chance. We're 4-1 down. Let's put them in there and pump balls into them. Let's try and do something. Let's upset their defence a little bit. Now, what we'll do is we'll take the left winger, the right winger, and the centre forward off, and we'll bring a downgraded version of a left winger, a right winger, and a centre forward on. It was never going to. How was that going to fix anything? All it did was maybe a little bit more fresh legs to guys that weren't getting the ball anyway. It was utterly pointless.
Utterly pointless, JD. Stu's right. No imagination, no thought, no. Gio just didn't know what to do.
5 subs, 5 like for like, no tactical change. Said it all.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the word. My head's absolutely gone. Playing Cholak up front instead of Morelos didn't really seem to make much of a difference in the overall state of things, JD. I don't know if that's on the individual players or it's basically just turning around and saying, look, that system that we play in Europe, the striker's not going to have a chance.
We said it before, like, Morelos got a bit for no doing anything last week. Cholak, you could sense it after 30-40 minutes tonight. I probably would have brought Morelos on about 50-60 minutes, but listen, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what we done. You just swap them out, they're like for like. We don't change the way we play to try and get them service. We don't change the way we play to try and create anything for the guys up top. That being said, they're not, again, immune to criticism because we're a massive club and we don't want to go through humblings like that. So they all get criticised, that 11, that 15, that 16, and the manager and the squad. Everybody gets criticised for this. Nobody's immune to this. So Cholak, Morelos, both played their part tonight, both done hee-haw. But again, it's difficult because they never give the service, but I want more off everybody. I don't know. It's just not good enough. Nobody deserves any sort of plaudits or any protection for any criticism tonight. I don't understand why folk are trying to protect folk.
No, they are. Somebody, I think it might have been Ross Clark, Stu, put in the group chat that the reason that we are so negative and the reason that we are so fearful is all driven from the manager. Do you go along with that? Has Gio put a philosophy and a mentality into these players that, firstly, the first thought is look back and defend, and he's also made us mentally weak?
I think he's right to a degree. I mean, Gio believes in this recycling possession. If you have so much of the ball, you won't concede goals, and you're more likely to create chances. He's very stat based, but if you don't, you can be more. Leicester proved it, right, when they won the league. You don't need possession to win games. You just don't have to have it. And these are the games that prove that. We're not going to go and dominate possession against Liverpool, although in the first half we probably had a bit more of the lion's share because we started really well. But that was because the players were being brave on the ball and playing quite attacking passes early on. But then as soon as that sort of 25, 30 minutes, mainly when they got their goal, we started to just creep back into our shells a little bit, doing these backwards passes. And it's just indicative of how Gio sets the team up. It's just backwards all the time. And I don't know, it's so hard to articulate what you want to say when you've got to. We're playing Liverpool. When they're out of position, you can see they're out of position. Their players are committed forward. That's when you play a direct ball, a ball over the top or a ball into midfield or whatever ball you need to play. There's players open. And even McManam's pointing out they can see more of the pitch than we can. Arfield's taking up a great spot there. We don't pass the ball to him. We turn and we pass backwards. Liverpool get back in and then inevitably they get the ball back and they come back at us. I don't see why we aren't exploiting spaces because keeping the ball doesn't do us anything because we're not good enough to take on Liverpool sitting behind the ball. We're only good enough if they're out of position. That's what good teams do. They pull players out of position, then they attack, then they go and get it. Other teams, smaller than Rangers, have gone and proven you can get results. And I'm not saying that we all went in there thinking, do you know what, we'll beat Liverpool tonight, guaranteed. No one thought that. We thought we had a chance, maybe, if every single thing went in our favour. But no one thought we were going out there and conceding 7 goals tonight.
In terms, JD, of what we've been talking about with Gio leaving, Gio being sacked, Gio walking or whatever, is it going to take fan pressure? Do you see this board acting?
No, I don't. No, I don't. And it's a thing I would never want to happen is fan pressure, but it might need to come to that. And I'm not talking fucking sharks and all that stuff. We don't do that. But I think just verbally, Twitter, social media, I think you need a bit of fan pressure. As soon as the crowd start to dwindle, perhaps they might look at it. We all thought Van Bronckhorst was going to take on what Gerrard done and take it. We were told by the board and Ross Wilson that we have a philosophy now under Gerrard and we will bring folk in to fit our squad, our club's philosophy. They never done it, so that somebody's culpable here because they never done their homework on Van Bronckhorst because he's not taking up that philosophy, or again, it's all words and nobody's listening. They think we're all stupid. The boys with Feyenoord, they told us. They told us how shite he was. Now we can see it. We couldn't believe that. So why did we not fit? The philosophy was supposed to be coming for the boys' clubs all the way through. The way we want to play football, 4-3-3, attacking football. That's been totally undone now. Now you said you watched the 19s. Do they play attacking football?
Yeah.
So why is our first team not doing it? So everybody else is doing it. Is Van Bronckhorst saying, "Oh, this is my team. I'm doing it this way"? No, mate. You're our head coach. You're no anything else other than you come in. This is the way Ross Wilson says. This is the way we want to play. Are you up for that? Nah, that's not for me. Right? Fine, we'll go and talk to somebody else. So somebody needs to come in that wants to play that type of football. No, look at a wee laptop or a wee iPad or anything like that. You want to play this football, and we've got the players because look what we've done. Kent, Barisic, Tav, all these boys have done it. They know how to play attacking football. That's the way we should be playing. I just...
Like JD said before, Stu, when there's negative stuff or there's difficult stuff you have to talk about in terms of, the manager shouldn't be there anymore, he should be sacked or he should walk away, which historically is not something that we do. But when it's something that we talk about, there's no sharks, we're not standing outside Ibrox throwing pitchforks. We have a balanced debate about it and we talk about it. But not just Gio, how much of this lands back on partly what JD was talking about there on the board?
Yeah, I mean, it does. The problem is we don't know, and that's one thing you have to put in Gio's favour to a degree, is we don't know what happens behind the scenes. We don't know if Ross Wilson comes out and says, you're getting these 6-7 players in the window and you've got to figure... That is then Gio's job to fit them in and adapt them to his style. But we don't know to what degree Gio has a say in transfers. But the transfers probably haven't been good enough on that front. So much so that Gio's hardly even using them, to be honest. Apart from Cholak, really, they're just taking up a wage, aren't they, and sitting on the bench and not doing anything. Gio come in, he didn't seem to like Sakala straight away. Now he's the man that he's leading, going with him right wing at Anfield. I said in the group chat, Scott Wright hasn't played in weeks. He hasn't played in weeks, and he's chucked him on at Anfield and go on then, Scott. Can you go get us something, please? How are you gonna if you're not even playing week in, week out in Scotland? How are you gonna just go off the bench at Anfield and do something? You're not. It's almost like he just accepted it at that point, and it was just like, I'll just get some minutes or just rest some players because I don't want any more injuries. And maybe that's what he did. I don't know, but the board have to take responsibility. Gio has to take responsibility. The board probably won't sack him on the back of this, but as soon as like you say, these protests, or not protests, but as soon as people start protesting and they start putting it back on the board, as soon as they realise how bad they look, that's when Gio will fall in the firing line.
What we're going to hear, JD, and we will talk about the game in a wee second, what we're going to hear, JD, is hard to compete against a team that has over £250 million sitting on the bench. I don't care who you're playing. See, if you're playing a better team and you put in the effort and you get beat, fair enough, right? We went out into that second half and we didn't compete. We didn't even look like competing. And we handed them goals. They didn't rip us open. There was no great play. Liverpool done what Liverpool do. But they tore us to shreds without even trying.
Yeah, it was so easy. Salah came on, it was so easy. We're going to hear that. There was a narrative through about last week by people connected to the club about... well, we got a wee bit to now. What do you expect? What do you expect doing an Anfield? Come on, what's the big problem here? And now we're going to hear the old, what's a £1 billion team? Oh, you all wanted this to go. People patronise folk when they speak like that because you know what? We just support and love our club and we just don't want to get beat 7-1, or we want to see our team have a go. You can do both. You can have a wee go and not get beat 7-1 if you've got a bit of tactical nous about you.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a go to get beat 7-1, so that's bullshit. We did not have a go to get beat 7-1.
No, not in the second half. We didn't. Certainly not in the second half. Big thanks to James and John there for the super chats. Much appreciated. Please do like and subscribe if you're new here. I know we've got a lot of people watching for obvious reasons. I'm guessing a few of them might not be of the Rangers persuasion. But please do like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give that thumbs up, helps share the videos greatly. Thank you very much. If you're on Facebook as well, give us a follow and a like. And of course on Twitter as well, give us a retweet, a like, and get your comments in on all three. The game itself, Stu, first half, we played okay. We took the lead. They pegged us back. But there was some positives in that first half.
Sorry, I've just seen a second half stat come up, by the way.
Yeah.
Liverpool 17 shots, Rangers 1. Liverpool 22 touches in the opposition box, Rangers 3. Liverpool's XG in the second half was 1.63. They scored 6 goals, by the way. Mm-hmm. And ours was 0.02.
That's pathetic, by the way.
It's almost 0 expected goals, which...
what about that? Stu, what did you say about expected goals for Liverpool there? 3, 2?
No, 1.63.
That's a goalkeeper. That's a goalkeeper then.
Yeah.
That's not worldies. That's goalkeeper.
It is, and we said that. But in
Can I
terms
just
of first half,
sorry,
That's
a
right.
big thank you to
Wow,
Denzel
look at
Merrick
that.
in the super chats. Wow, an £18 super chat. Massive thank you to Denzel for the help and the support. Yeah, I mean, that's embarrassing. There's no other word for it, really, is there? I don't have a thesaurus, so I can't think of a word worse than embarrassing.
But so I was just took you off your point there, Martin. In terms of the first half, it was positive. We've sort of I know Ross bangs this drum a lot, and I have to a degree that Gio does seem to lie a lot in his press conferences and contradicts himself a little bit. But he said we were going to have a go tonight, and we did. In the first half, we absolutely did exactly what he said we were going to do. We went out, we attacked. We actually, someone mentioned in the comments earlier what we had to do, control aggressions. I think that's exactly what we did do in the first half to a degree, maybe not the last 15 minutes. But it just, I don't know how that fell apart. Yeah, we lost Goldson, but that shouldn't change the whole philosophy of the team. Like, Goldson wasn't even that big of a deal. Obviously, he adds so much to that team. I get as a presence and as a person on the pitch and a voice captain. But Davies was doing fine. It just, I don't know how we capitulated so bad from a decent performance in the first half, where we maybe even towards the end we just started to maybe create a little bit again, and we thought, can we get in 2-1 up here? This would be unbelievable. And generally at 1-1, we come on this pod, and I genuinely thought we had a chance to win this game, and we've got beat 7-1.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've got a question for Brian. I'll answer really, really quickly. Subscriber for a long time. Where does the donation go to, and how do I do it? Underneath the window, I think it depends on what device you're on. There's a wee kind of $sign thing, and you click on that, and it's a super chat. And the money has so far went towards sponsoring Rangers B team players. It has went towards the Rangers Charity Foundation, and it has also went towards the paying of all the stuff that we use, i.e. StreamYard, video editors, etc., and loads of stuff like that. And it will continue to go towards very good causes. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I just finished the point.
Finished the point.
I just wanted to bring that one up just because it's not me for once, but that's what the money goes towards. So.
JD's here. It's really difficult, JD, to try and talk about the first half with any kind of positivity. I suppose if we want to look back on it slightly, Arfield scores. Cholak gets the ball after a bad back pass by Gomez. Probably should do a lot better, and Arfield has another chance. So we could have. I'm just trying to look for any sort of positive before we jump back into the negative, but we could have had at least 3 goals in that first half, I suppose.
Nah, you're not going to score 3 out of 3, are you? I think the goal we scored was outstanding. Fantastic goal. That's not. Listen, we can't ignore that. There was a brilliant team move. Cholak's bit of movement creates a bit of space. Brilliant finish. So amazing goal. Should we have scored a second? Sakala, Arfield, aye. Cholak's one's a bit different. If he takes it to his left and goes round the keeper, you never know. I
don't think he realises JD hit that bit of time.
But for me, I thought we played well for the first 10, 15. They smashed us for about another 20, and then we were good for the last 25. We're good for the last 5, 10. Other than that was it. So I'd say probably in all, if you look at it, what we were good for 10, 15 minutes of the game, 20 minutes of the game. Other than that, the second half was pathetic. And that's the only word, pathetic.
Well, you mentioned it, so let's talk about some players. I'm not going to go through all the goals. It's pointless. It's pointless. But the first goal that we do concede in the first half, JD, James Tavernier. Let's talk about Tavernier.
Shocking performance. Tav's had a very bad season. You know what he can give us. He gets the goals. He gives us assists. And I don't want to keep harking back to this, but I'm going to. We are tactically suffocating these players. We're strangling them. They need to be allowed to play the game that's been drilled into them for 3 or 4 years prior, and that's attacking football. And that's when I felt embarrassed for him. There was a cut of England. I think England have got 3 right backs, and they're thinking, World Cup problem. And I actually was thinking to myself, by the way, Tav might get an opportunity, and if they get a real 3 right backs, 4 right backs are out, why would they not pick him? See, on tonight, it's embarrassing because he couldn't pass the ball. He kept putting us under pressure. We just look at 6s and 7s. And it's when the captain's doing that, it just, we started so well. See when Tav made a couple of bad passes, a couple of mistakes, you just see it bleeding into the rest of the team. So, I don't want it because he's been a great servant and player, but he's had a bad season, and tonight was not good.
Just before I'll come to you on Tav and a wee sex too, Jurgen Klopp has spoke to the media, and he said they'll write tomorrow of a Rangers breakdown, but it really wasn't. We were just on it and we're too much. No, I'm sorry, Jurgen. You might have been on it, and it was a Rangers breakdown. So I mean, Stu, is that just a wee bit of trying to soften the blow for Gio?
Yeah, and not even for Gio. I think he needs to put confidence in his own team because they're struggling and they've got to go to Manchester City at the weekend. I sound a bit like Kevin Keegan when I just said that, but they've got to go to City and get something.
Get something like that.
But they do, and he knows that realistically, when they open up against City, which they have to do because they're Liverpool play like that, they are probably going to concede quite a few goals if they play like they did against us because City are obviously a much better team. They're tearing them apart. I don't think Klopp's protecting Gio. I think he's just trying to put confidence in his own team more than anything.
Yeah, I suppose that's a fair point. That's an absolutely fair point. Stu,
so is that snare drum in the background, Martin? As if somebody's going to
start? You know what it is? It's my seat. It's absolutely. It's because I'm a big fat guy.
I thought it was Andy. Aye.
Big Dave, a £10 super chat. Cheers, Martin. I've been trying to work out how to donate for the last 10 minutes. Thank you very much, Dave. Big Dave. And Davey, tonight hurts. GVB needs to go, but I will dance a jig once Wilson F's off. I know players should be ashamed. I'll bring that to you, Stu, before I come back to you for Tav. Davey's £5 super chat there. Like he's saying, GVB needs to go, but I think a lot of the support now as well, even ones who weren't really that bothered, will turn on Wilson.
Yep. Yeah. He's a cracker, isn't he?
He used to be involved with the rabble.
Yeah, he used to. He used to be a good lad.
Has he ever been involved? Let's be honest. He sat and shivered and shat himself most of the
time. Yeah, no, I think people are starting to. People need someone to blame, right? And we're not used to this. Right? I know we haven't been in the Champions League since 2010 or whatever it was, but even then, like you said, when Prime Barcelona come to Ibrox and you got a 0-0 draw, even when we went away, what was it, 2-0 or something away at the Nou Camp? It wasn't an absolute battering. Every once in a while, you are going to see that. You're going to get absolutely spanked by someone because just a bit like tonight, right? They had 9 shots on target. They scored 7 goals. Now, obviously, that's down to defence. That's down to goalkeeping. But they will happen from time to time. The problem is we've been conceding goals for fun in the Champions League. We've been conceding goals the last 2 times we've gone to their place. We need someone to blame. And it's, the buck stops with the manager. But then when you look above that, why can't the manager do his job properly by the director of football? He's not bringing the right players in. So I think it's a collective. It falls on both of their heads for me, Gio and Ross Wilson, and the players need to take a look at themselves. They can't be devoid of criticism as well because they've not done the right things tonight. It's not just Gio tactically and substitution wise, he hasn't done the right things, but at the same time, he can't make Tavernier misplaced passes 5 yards away. Do you know what I mean? He can't. He's not in control of that. He's not in control of Lundstrom charging into every single ball and being miles away from it when they turn him. So, I'm not here to stick up for Gio because I think everyone knows that I've been one of his biggest critics. But there are times where he can't control things on the pitch. That is down to the players, and it's also down to his instructions. But it's a collective. It's the players not being good enough. It's Gio's instructions. It's his tactics. It's his substitutions. It's Ross Wilson's signings. It's just a collective at the club right now.
GDRFC 56 has asked that you, obviously a while ago, you said that Davis could stay.
He's asked this question about 10 times and
I've just clocked it.
Honestly.
I've just clocked the question.
Dude, obviously, when Davis played well, I was saying this guy can stroll it and play balls like that and play games like that. Even next season, by the way. Of course, on the back of a terrible game, when he came off the bench and showed that he's got no legs, of course, So what you want asking that question 10 times? Like, I get it. Aye, we all have opinions and say stuff that then you'd say, fuck, why did I say that? But tomorrow or next week or 10 days time or 10 weeks time when he plays well, we'll all be saying, oh, what a player, what a baller and all that. That's what you did.
Right, Gio has spoken.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Still speaking now, unless
There
West
are-
Ham's behind.
Right, well, there are no. I'm just reading this off a Heart and Hand on Twitter. There are no excuses for tonight. None. The difference cannot be so big against quality players, but honestly, we would not beat anybody playing the way we did in that period. Nobody can make excuses for that. There are none. Did anybody? That's pretty much the bog standard response I would imagine that we were expecting.
No, wouldn't expect that from Gio at all. I'd expect an excuse. I don't know if that
I don't
makes
even
me.
think Gio couldn't even come up with an excuse. And just very quickly, Kevin Hurrell's new member. Thank you very much, Kevin. Welcome on board.
I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know if maybe he's even admitting defeat at this point, but it's not something I've seen Gio do some sort of mental gymnastics to defend a result, and he's talked. Maybe he's embellished the truth a lot in some of our performances. For him to just come out and say stuff like that is, I don't know. Maybe he's seen a bit of the writing on the wall, or maybe just like you said, he just sees it as it is.
So someone said he's not even been here a full year. We've lost 4-0 twice, 3-0 twice, and now 7-1. Gerrard, who I believe time was up, he took us as far as he could. Never lost a game by more than 2 goals the whole time he was here. Not
just that. There was times where we didn't play great, but we still looked like we had a structure under Gerrard. You know, a philosophy. We had something.
Sometimes that annoyed us, Mark, because we were stuck to that 4-3-3. We're like, we need to do something else, but at least we had a philosophy and a purpose, and we knew what we were going to do. And it did come. The time was probably over for Gerrard, but we all thought that the next person comes in, takes that to the next level. We thought that was Van Bronckhorst. Some people told us it wasn't going to be. We said it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. He's right.
Can I just say, and the two guys will back me up here, the comments are literally on the screen for a second and then they are shooting. So it's really, really difficult for me to see the comments. There's just that many people watching, which I appreciate. So please do like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and all that sort of stuff. All the links for that are in the description. And a big thank you to our sponsors, Zenith Coins. If you head over to zenithcoins.com, they've got a fantastic selection of goodies. And if you use the code RR10, then you'll get 10% off your order at checkout. JD, John Lundstrom has been somebody we've spoke about quite a lot. Of late, I don't think he was the worst on the pitch tonight. But again, he's not putting in the consistent performances that he was. He looks as if he's believed his own hype.
Yeah, said that. The worst thing we've done was make a song up for him. He's not even the consistent performances, man. He's not putting in any performances. And I was what we wanted him out this time last year. What a turnaround! And we know there's a great player there. He looks tired. He looks sluggish. Even the square ball that Tav played to him, in the first half. If he's on his toes, he goes and gets that. It's a terrible ball, but he's on his toes, he gets that, fine, but he doesn't. So I just feel he looks sluggish. His passing's all over the place as well. Like, I don't know. There's obviously, and this is the annoying thing, because we know there's a great player in there, like a guy who marshals that full midfield. What is happening? So what is going on? Why is this player being stifled again? It's no good. That aside, it's not good enough by John Lundstrom, because it's the same manager that he played under on the run to Europe last year, but not good enough. Pathetic.
And I said at half time, Stu, do we owe an apology to Alan McGregor? Does Alan McGregor owe us an apology after that second half?
I think Alan McGregor would probably apologise, because that's not the standard Alan McGregor holds himself to, because he's clearly a quality goalkeeper. He's had a nightmare tonight, but I think sometimes you get tilted in any walk of life, and I think tonight with those goals just flying in, the defence parting like the Red Sea at times. I just think he was just at a bit of 6s and 7s, and he didn't know what to do. And the defense. I think he could have done a lot better on a lot of the goals. So even the Salah one where he comes off sort of the touchline and he bends it past him, it's a really narrow angle. But even Salah being able to get there is just abysmal defending. The goal that Salah scores where McGregor has absolutely no chance with, Borna letting Salah on his left foot, one of the best left-footed players in world football, and you're letting him shoot on his left foot. But yeah, tonight he wasn't good enough, and he wasn't the only person that wasn't good enough. The one that looped into that sort of bottom corner, I don't know if that was his hat trick or his second or whatever it was at that time, but I don't know what he was doing for that one.
Darwin Nunes, he doesn't dive. He dives with his arms at his side. Why is he not getting his arm? He just dived like that, like Barkas it was.
It does highlight the issue we had in the summer, where we didn't go and sign a goalkeeper. That was a big issue, and we said this on the pod before. That should have been done, but we've got what we've got, and he kept us in the game at Anfield, and so I said earlier tonight was Anfield, so apologies to CGM because he called me out on that.
Stu, can I just jump in? Because I know Scottish lad, there's a few folks saying, the comments are going mad, there's a few folks saying we can't pin that on McGregor. I'm not singling out McGregor. We are not singling out, we're singling out every single person. We're pinning it on the full team, and we're going through them all and telling them why they weren't good enough. And McGregor's one of them. He doesn't dive for Nunes, or he dives with his arms at his side. Salah's one goes through him for the angle. You could be harsh and say it's not meant for Firmino's, but that's you're never saying
it's awfully close to him, and
I agree.
I don't think you can expect that either from
the other one. He gets looked into the right, his left, our right hand side. So there's ones there. Like last week he saved, this week he didn't. So he didn't play well. So he doesn't play well. He gets called out. That's what happens. He doesn't play well. He's again not. I don't care how many performances he's had, how many times he's played for Rangers. He is probably the second best Rangers goalkeeper ever. It doesn't matter. Tonight wasn't good enough.
I don't think he'd want to be let off with tonight. I don't think he'd want to. McGregor wouldn't sit there and go, "No, I played all right last week, so I think people should get." He's a winner. He's a born winner, and he'd be the type of guy that would absolutely expect to get slaughtered for what he's done tonight. Unfortunately, but I don't think that's an age thing. I just think tonight was, well, maybe it is an age thing actually, me saying that, because it did hark back to Ross County for me. He obviously didn't drop any balls, but he just seemed to, it was, I don't know, a lack of confidence, a lack of awareness. He was just a bit all over. The only one I'll stick up for him was that little pirouette one where he got a bit lucky. I think, right, he thinks he's getting lobbed there and he's jumped, realised he's not getting lobbed, and he sort of tried to do something with it, and he's got a bit.
He didn't turn until the ball hit him, so he didn't turn his back on it. McGregor wouldn't turn his back on it. No, can I just ask you a question, Stu? See if you were watching something, anything at all, right, and you were bored with what you were watching, would you continue to watch it? No, you wouldn't, would you?
No, but football, for some reason, we do.
No, but just there's a certain person in the comments who's saying that he's bored, and I'm like, well, why are you still watching if you're bored?
Yeah, I wouldn't be watching a podcast if I'm bored of a podcast, or if I'm a fan of another one.
Remember, people listen. It's hard. People don't like to hear stuff. I don't like to hear things. So I hate hearing things about Morelos. I love Morelos. I hate hearing things about McCoist because I love McCoist. Folks say things about Barry Ferguson. I love Barry Ferguson. I know all these guys that can be say dubious things in punditry and stuff like that. But when I was growing up, they weren't your players. I hate hearing it. So I get people hate hearing things. Maybe McGregor's the greatest ever goalkeeper. They love it, but it doesn't. You can't like other players. Aaron Ramsey with a laugh with Nicholas last year. Matondo this year. It doesn't, because you like them and you have an affiliation with them, doesn't mean that we can't criticise them. Morelos, brilliant, but he's not done it this season.
Can we talk about Borna Barisic now?
I don't have enough time, mate, in all honesty.
JD turned for one of the goals. And look, we may be doing him a slight disservice in saying that he's constantly negative. I don't know if that's what he's been instructed to do, right? I don't know. But he's constantly negative. He lacks any sort of confidence. And he always, not always, but the majority of the time, he makes the wrong decisions.
Yeah. Well, there's stuff in the group chat saying there's talk about him going to Galatasaray in January. Sorry, Yilmaz is going to Galatasaray in January, which might just be rumours. So that means that Barisic is here to stay, but we've called it out that he's a confidence player. I think he has been playing okay this season, but tonight was another one.
He's not good enough.
You could
Okay,
hear the crowd on his back, Martin. You could, and it's a tactical thing again. Just pop those balls down and let Kent run the channel. Let Kent hit the corner flag. Gomez get him to turn back and let Kent get on him. But he didn't. He looks, opens his body, and then goes again. You hear the crowd groaning. Everybody in their houses are groaning. So I don't know. He gets sucked in for the. Was it the Gomez cross for Nunez's finish? He gets sucked away. And what are you doing running in there? Hold your line, and Gomez doesn't make that cross. It's hard. He's in the moment, but I used to be a big Barisic fan. Not for me now. The confidence players, we don't need that at our club. We need players who can come in, handle the pressure, and play fit. Davy Robertson, best. Arthur Newman, right? The best left backs we've ever seen. These boys could handle it. They had big shooters. Barisic doesn't, and that's the problem with that. He'll play well for a while, and then he'll have a nightmare. Where's his confidence going to be on the back of a 7-1? Now, Yilmaz has probably got to come in and have a couple of games now. We can't buy a boy for 5 and there's chat him getting loaned back to Turkey in January. Give me a break.
Mental. Ian Mitchell, wow, £20 super chat. Thank you very much, Ian. Greatly appreciated. Stu Barisic, for me, the experiment's done now with Borna Barisic. I don't think he has the capabilities. I think he has, I'll rephrase that. I think he has ability. I think his crossing ability is fantastic. I think he's very good at passing the ball. He does not have the mentality to be a Rangers player.
He doesn't.
We've waited too long now.
He doesn't have the mentality. We've seen too many times. And to be honest, I was a little bit surprised tonight that he didn't pick up a niggle, which he seems to do when we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But I can't. Some of it lays on Gio's door as well, because like JD's saying, he's obviously being told to. He's got one of the best left foots I've ever seen. Like his crossing, the actual crossing on the run is outrageous. But he doesn't get to do it anymore because he doesn't get to bomb forward like he used to. So that left foot is almost a wand, and you think someone with that talent could just drop those balls over the right back's head every single time to almost perfection, like teams do against us when they counter attack. They look for those balls in behind. I can't believe someone with Barisic's quality is not being told to do that. Instead, he's being told to turn back. And like JD said, one of the worst things about him is we know how good he is and how good that left foot is. When he opens his body like it's going to be a forward pass, that makes it 10 times worse when you then turn back, because the crowd are like, you're literally about to play forward. It almost takes more effort to turn backwards and pass it backwards. But for me, I mean, if you've got a £5 million left back sitting on the bench, and I get it that, Barisic had at that point, well, maybe not done nothing wrong, but maybe hadn't done enough to lose the spot. What at this point now, Yilmaz has to start the next game, because what's the point in signing these guys if he's not going to get a chance after that? But how bad is Yilmaz if he can't get a start after Barisic playing like that?
Well, that's the question, JD. Irvin Henry, I don't know if this is more a criticism of us criticising Barisic, but he's saying if Borna's that bad, why is the £5 million replacement not getting a sniff?
Because there could be a disconnect between what Gio wants to do and who Gio wants to what he's been given. Now, he's a head coach, so he probably doesn't get a big say on who he's getting. He will say, we need a right back and a left back. They'll say, well, this is who we can get. And he'll say, well, okay, we're going to get this young guy for Turkey. And Gio's like, okay, well, thanks. And I feel like he's maybe doing that. There was a game earlier in the season where he didn't play any of the new signings, stuff like that. So perhaps Gio didn't want Yilmaz, wanted maybe some other targets, and that didn't happen. I don't think there's
a lot of money, JD, to pay for a player the manager doesn't want.
It is £5 million. Listen, we will never know what the truth. We might only have put $1 million up front for that. This is what happens. In fact, you might have paid $1 million for him, and you're going to pay another $2 million in the summer, $2 million the summer after. That's how the way it will be. So it will only be a full $5 million straight up. But you've got to play him eventually. You've got to play him. Somebody's got to say to Gio, I know it's your teammate, but this boy's got to play now. But I don't know.
Jump in, sorry. Just saw on BBC that they've put a bit of Gio's comments up. Just saying, we know their strength, their transitions in the middle of the pitch, but he said we can see too many easy goals. It went pretty quickly after that. We tried to push, didn't see that. But after the 3-1, you could see we were struggling. If you could see we were struggling at 3-1, why do you not make changes until we're 4-1 down? And then on the Bleak situation, they asked him about how you're feeling about the group now. He said, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just processing the defeat. But how can you say you could see if he can see we're struggling at 3-1, why does he wait before making any changes and then make like for like changes?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I honestly don't know. JD, finally, and we could talk about every other player, but I'm going to mention this one, Ryan Kent. Could it just simply be that he's not good enough? He's just not good enough.
I thought at half time that if we get him the ball, he looks up for it. His first touch was on point in the first half when he got the ball a couple of times. I thought Gomez looked a bit scared of him. That's where it ended. Didn't do anything. Is he working his ticket now? Probably. I think all these new age football players, I hark back to 9-0 eras when they were. There's guys who come in and fight, John Browns and stuff like that, right? Nowadays, a guy like Ryan Kent's been told he's amazing all his days. He's been pampered all his days, right? To the point where he believes that he is amazing and doesn't need to work hard for it. Unfortunately, you're no, son. And in 2 or 3 years' time, something's going to happen, and he will be playing the English Championship or some random place.
He'll disappear. He'll just disappear into a lower league, and you'll never hear from him again.
And he'll regret these career moves. But also, I get the feeling from Ryan. And this is just my feeling. I get the feeling that he's one of those players who probably doesn't really like football that much, but he's fun at that. He's good at it. Now, the boy played with Arsenal all those years ago, David Bentley, came out and said I hated football. Mm-hmm. Jermaine Pennant came out and said that I didn't like football, but it made me a millionaire. Yeah?
Hated football.
Yeah, but made him a millionaire. I reckon Ryan Kent is one of those types. You know what I mean? If he never made football, he'd be vaping and skateboarding, but he doesn't, so he's a millionaire. So perhaps his heart, perhaps another one whose mentality doesn't fit our club, because our club, you need big shoulders, you need a big heart for our club, and that's what we expect and want for our club. And some of these players don't have it. And I think we might struggle with that in years to come because these players don't exist anymore. So maybe that's our problem.
I tell you something, the phone-in's going to be fun on Friday. That's all I can say. The phone-in at 7:30 for anybody who wants to tune into that. Stu, the only thing that Ryan Kent's done is prove to Liverpool that they were 100% right to let him go.
7 million.
7 million, Stu.
We asked a question on a pod the other night whether before tonight he represented value for money, and I think the majority of the pod agreed that he did based on the 55 season and maybe on some of his European performances last season. I don't think Liverpool are going to see much of their sell-on clause, in all honesty, which was a big part of it. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't think he's a terrible player because you've seen him when he's at 100%, he's absolutely ripping the piss out of people. One of these guys that can run at speed but knows exactly what he's doing with the ball. He has got a good delivery, despite how many bad ones he puts in. His finishing is terrible, though. I think we can all agree on that. But for some reason, it's just I don't know what it is with him. His big strength used to be that he didn't hide. He would always want the ball, even if he was playing bad. He would always want the ball. He'd always go at a defender or two defenders, however many was on him. Now he just doesn't care. He just drifts away on that left-hand side. If the ball comes to him, honestly, it looks like it's putting him out. Like, why have you given the ball to me? Like, it just looks like he doesn't even want it. He doesn't want to be there. But whether that's the tactics, whether he's fed up with Gio, whether he's just fed up being at Rangers, I don't know. But if it is the latter, then I don't see why he's playing. I don't see why at this point we've got a 21-year-old Matondo that can play on that role. Why not give him a run of games? If the guy's not happy and he's not performing, I don't see why he keeps playing every single game.
Martin, do you think we are caught now as a club where, and I've said this before, we overpay players, so we buy a guy for the SPL, we will triple, quadruple their wages, and this is a rubbish, right? Jake Hasty, quadruple your wages, son, right? Say he was on £1,000 with Motherwell, surely he would have signed for Glasgow Rangers for £2,000. So that's a terrible example, but guys like Ryan Kent, right away, Liverpool, he was probably on about fucking 4, 5, 6 grand with Liverpool, right, back then. Right, these boys might win more now. Like your Matondos have went for 10 million, then 3 million, stuff like that. But we shouldn't be giving them wages on what the fee we pay. Give them wages on what they can show us their CV. What have you got, son? What have you done? Nothing, right? Okay, you're coming to Liverpool 23s, 4 loan deals, not done a thing, right? There's $5,000 a week. Oh no, I'm not taking that. Well, that's fine, son. Well, you're not going to come and play with Rangers. Why we seem to overpay players?
It's because we took him on loan for a season and he played quite well on loan. So we judged it by that. We can't. But no, listen, I completely understand where you're coming from. Can I just say, RFC always Kent to get slagged and never Morelos. Have you watched any of our last 4 or 5 shows? Have you heard
6 pods slagging? We had one dedicated to him, didn't we?
Have you not heard Ross Clark's thoughts on Alfredo Morelos? Anyway, look, guys, we'll leave it there. I don't know. Look, I'll come to both of you. Stu, you first. Final thoughts.
I don't see where this.
Just before you give me them, welcome, Sophie Mitchell. Thank you for becoming a member.
I don't see where we improve, to be honest. Yeah, we might go and play more negative. I don't know. It's. I actually thought I was in the and I still don't think I'm completely in the right when I used to say, I don't think Gio's the right man going forward. I think it's like it's not as black and white as Gio's a terrible manager. I just don't think he's the right fit for us. So when people are saying, but we're only 2 points behind and we've, apart from that Hibs game, which we probably did get cheated a little bit by the ref, we could be top, or we've won 4 games, 4-0, but it's the football, it's the performance. It's so terrible every single week. Even when we win, the football is so bad. It's just that other teams sit in and they're waiting to be picked off. And eventually we get that because it's the if you create enough chances or you attack teams enough that are sitting back and you have enough position, you will eventually score goals at that level. When we go up to this level, we will never do anything. And I know we reached the European final under Gio, and everyone was like, I think that sticks some people a little bit when they want to slag him off because they think, do you know what, he took us to the European final, and he did. But I don't see this. I don't see this Gio though. Where's this Gio that when we were getting battered by Dortmund went 3-5-2, and all of a sudden it changed the whole game? We don't see that Gio anymore. Why doesn't he do that? I just can't. I don't know. I can't comprehend. I can't work him out at all, from his press conferences to his tactics to his stuff. I can't work out what manager he is because it's like he doesn't even know. He's like Sakala as a manager. I think he doesn't even know what he's going to do next. So it's Final thoughts for me. I just think we need to change.
Yeah. Just quickly before I come to you, JD, we're 1 member away from 150. So thank you to everybody. Tomorrow night, we obviously have our members Rabble Extra, which you'll see Stu, but we'll also be joined by Graham, Kerr and Brian. And then the phone in on Friday will be myself, Ross and Kerr. So that should be interesting. JD, final thoughts?
Scotted, shocked. I think the Gio has to go now, and he'll not do anything to change my mind going forward. I don't care now. Stu kind of just topped off what he said there. I think, I don't need to actually. Stu, you've nailed it, mate.
That's if you were on death row and Gio gave you a pep talk, death wouldn't seem so bad. That's probably the way to end the show. Apologies to everybody for it being negative, but what else could you do under the circumstances? Thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you to all the new people who joined us as well. I think we've had over 6,500 views already, just on YouTube alone. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. For our members, we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for Rabble Extra. And for all of our subscribers, we'll see you on Friday at 7:30 for the phone-in. Hope you can join us then. Thank you for watching, and we'll speak to you all soon.